Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 4-Star Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan DuPont, joined, as always, by Andrew Freeman, Nick DeCola, and Ty Mullen. I guess I really shouldn't say as always because sometimes we're not all here, but nonetheless.
It's the first time we've been together in a while, isn't it?
In a while, I know. I'm sorry. My schedule is so lame. I would love to be here more, but I can't.
For those of you that are Arrested Development fans, I got them from Army, mother.
His awards.
His awards, yeah.
And by awards, we mean Ty not being available as much as we'd like to see his beautiful face. But
and it's going to be even less as we keep going. But yeah, I'll try.
We're adults. We can handle it. But without delaying too much, we had a bombshell come out. I think it was Sunday night, Monday morning.
No, Monday
morning.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a reaction, just quick hitter, like, oh my God, this happened, but schedules didn't line up. So we'll cover it now. David Ross is no longer the manager of the Cubs. And not only is David Ross no longer the manager, Craig Counsell is the manager. He has his introductory press conference tomorrow. This is huge. I mean, not only did we get arguably the best manager in baseball, we took them from our division rivals who have won the division the last 2 years, and it might be sending the Brewers into a rebuild mode.
Hold on a second. Did you hear that? Hold on. Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
That is the sound of a celebratory beer because the big market Chicago Cubs are officially back. This is a big market move for a big market team. Just, I was so excited when I heard the news. I
legitimately, when you guys were sending messages, because I was at work when this happened, and we have 4 TVs in the restaurant I work at, and they're all on sports channels, but the bar area is a little bit separate. Anyway, I didn't see this come across the tickers on any of the sports stations. So I thought all you guys were messing with me originally. I did not believe it. And then finally, I'm Googling and, I stepped outside for a minute, pulled up Twitter, and I'm like, oh my God, they actually did it. I was so shocked that they pulled this off.
I went back and listened to what we said, our episode after the Cubs season had ended. And we kind of had a discussion about Ross, and we weren't upset, but we weren't super thrilled about Ross coming back. But I went back and listened to it because I specifically remembered we had a conversation of are there any managers out there that who would we jettison Ross for? And one name did not come up at any point, and it was Craig Counsell. We had this conversation. This is how blindsided we were. I don't think none of us just realized that this would be a possibility.
Well,
I mean, I guess
I don't think any of us ever thought he'd leave Milwaukee. I mean, he grew up literally. I want to say it was Whitefish Bay, which is 2 towns away from Milwaukee. I mean, he is a Wisconsin native. He played for the Brewers. He's managing the Brewers. I don't think anybody ever thought he was going to leave. And there were no reports in the media about this happening. The Cubs kept it under wraps, lock and key. I can't believe no news leaked about it. I mean, there were no reports about this. And so just everybody was blindsided. Brewers ownership was blindsided. If you guys haven't seen any of the reaction videos or the press release from the Brewers owner, it's freaking hysterical. As a Cubs fan, go watch it. It's hilarious.
Well, it was kind of funny how it was reported, because at first you get the bombshell that Counsell is hired by the Cubs, and you're nothing about what they're doing with David Ross whatsoever. So it's okay, did they fire David Ross? Did they let him know? Because that's kind of a big deal that they're hiring somebody for his position. And my initial thinking, okay, is are they moving out to the front office or something? What's going on here? And then it turns out, yeah, they did have the conversation. They did fire him.
This is 100% the Madden move, where Ross got Renteria'd, so to speak.
Which okay, on the one hand, I do it's hard not to like David Ross. He has a great relationship with the players. Ian Happ has come out and spoken about how much David Ross means to him.
What was that?
I said I can unlike him pretty easily. I don't know. There are a lot of things
so I want to get to that. I do want to take a moment to just say legitimately thank you to David Ross. Great player when he was on the team. Great memories. obviously a great clubhouse guy because he played with a few of the guys on the World Series team. You've never heard anything bad about him coming from the clubhouse. All the players love him. He is legitimately a great dude. And there is a part of me that feels bad for how this had to go down because, like Nick just mentioned, he got Rick Renteria, another Cubs player that everybody was excited to have on the team, great clubhouse guy. But when you have the opportunity to go and get literally the best guy available, you have to take it, especially if you are the Cubs and you're a big market team like this. This is a very Dodgers-Yankees-esque move, and this is exactly the type of move this team needs to be making from here on out. And there's lots of implications. I'll let you guys delve into it because I've been talking a lot, but lots of implications for the offseason by making this move.
First of all, I want to say, Nick, you missed the chance to say, you hear that? That's the winds of change from Monsters Inc. But
winds of change.
Yeah, so I love this move. I want to say I was trying to do a little bit of research beforehand because there is a fair criticism of why do we pick up Counsell when he hasn't actually really won a lot with the Brewers, which is kind of a fair argument. All right,
I have a counterpoint. That being said, but I'll let you finish.
I'll kind of go on my spiel a little bit. First of all, I think that it's really impressive that he even brings that roster up. Like, I mean, yeah, they had Christian Yelich, they had MVP Yelich, but apart from that, like, I think Counsell is able to get the best out of his guys, and that's why the Brewers even been in contention in the first place. Also, I want to say that, what was I going to say? Oh gosh, I lost it. But Nick, talk, and then I'll get it back.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, like you'd say, like a fair criticism is like, why hasn't he done more in the playoffs? I mean, he's made the playoffs. He's got 3 division titles in Milwaukee as a manager, made the playoffs 5 times, never made it past made it to the championship series once, lost in the division series, and then lost in the wild card 3 times. Part of that is just because Milwaukee doesn't spend any money. I mean, they didn't want to fork over an extra $2.5 million a year to keep the best manager in baseball on the payroll. And also the roof on their lackluster stadium is collapsing. So it's just like, it is a poverty franchise over there. And really his entire career as manager in Milwaukee, he's been a great in-game manager. How often do we talk about it where we look at the Brewers before the season and we're like, they don't have enough hitting. They don't have any talent, offensive talent. I don't see them. I think this is the year where it finally catches up to them and they're going to fall off. And it never does. They always outperform their run differential, what the run differential, the Pythagorean win-loss. I don't know, Tag, you know that stuff better than me.
Yeah.
But like they always overperform. And a lot of that is on Counsell and the in-game decisions that he makes. And, how many times did we come on this podcast and complain about a decision that David Ross made, like all the time? Like we still do it from time to time.
Yep.
So, it's just right there. Like if Craig Counsell's managing this team last year, they cruised to the division, even with Eric Hosmer and all these people.
And
I agree.
Another thing I'd like to point out real quick, Tag, before we get back to you.
No
yes,
worries,
you do have Corbin Burns. Yes, you do have Brandon Woodruff. Yes, you do have Freddie Peralta. How often are those guys injured, though, and yet they still manage to win the division without their aces being healthy? I mean, seriously, a lot of that is just up to Craig Counsell being a great in-game manager.
Yeah. I remember, this isn't what I recall, but I got 2 things. So I remember one is I remember years ago, I don't remember how long it was. I think it was even when Len Casper was still around. I could be wrong. That he talked about how Craig Counsell refers to his guys as out-getters if they're pitchers and their run scorers if they're hitters, and that's all he cares about, right? Like he's more of an analytical manager. I love that, as you all should know by now. I love that analytics stuff. He's an analytic manager. He understands the sabermetrics. He understands, but also at the same time, he still understands watching guys and like the eye tests and stuff like that. And that's what makes him such a great manager. And that's why he gets the best out of these teams that we're like, well, it's going to catch up with them eventually, but it doesn't, because he knows how to squeeze just a little bit extra value. And the thing that I remembered that I wanted to say was like, I was trying to do some research today about like, in football, they have this thing now where they're trying to give like coaches value, I'm pretty sure, on like the Pro Football Reference. They don't have that yet on baseball. If you look at manager records, like if you look at his manager page, just like how often he like attempts steals in second and third, how often he switches guys out for pinch runners and pitchers and a lot of that. So like you can look at those numbers and be like, whatever, because that's not going to tell you it. But I think if they did have something like that now for the baseball managers, if that was around, as far as I know, there isn't yet because I think it's kind of hard to quantify. If they did do like a relative value, I do honestly think that Counsell would be up there. I think this was the right move. We paid a hefty price for him. I'm sure we're going to go into the next, what this means, like the second and third order effects. As I've been at a school lately for the Army. We've been talking about a lot about second and third order effects. And like what that means is like, I think in order to get him in the first place, Hoyer had to have told him like, dude, we're going to get guys. We're going to get these stars. And I would love to see Craig Counsell with a team that isn't just Christian Yelich and a bunch of guys that are good, but like he brings the rest out of them. I want to see a team with Craig Counsell and the Shohei Ohtani. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So I don't know if you guys want to go more.
No,
that's a great pivot point. And as like you said, there's no way we would have been able to steal Counsell away from Milwaukee for only $2.5 million a year extra if we didn't have the promise of we are about to spend all of our money this year in free agency. This is a move that signifies they are going for a freaking ring next year. And that includes, I mean, more and more reports have been coming out that the Cubs not that they shouldn't have been, but more solid reports that the Cubs are solidly pursuing Shohei. I saw a report that Yu Darvish was talking up the Cubs organization to Shohei. My understanding
I think that was
is
all from like 2017 or 2018, whatever, whenever he came. That was from that initial
I thought it was more
push.
recent, but regardless.
Come play with Seiya. Come play with Seiya. He misses you.
Yeah, seriously. Like they're close. And you know, another thing to consider as far as, you know, Shohei and getting Yamamoto, who's a really impressive Japanese free agent pitcher. If you have 3 Japanese stars on your team, that's also going to increase, you know, jersey sales, ticket sales, marquee sports subscriptions for people in Japan that you never would have had before.
The only decent performing video on this YouTube channel is the one where Tig talks about Shohei, and that's literally because of the Japanese market. They just go nuts for him.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's another thing to consider. Spend big, it's an investment at that point. So
no, I am in full agreement. You have to remember the front off, like Ricketts. I don't know if it was Ricketts or Hoyer. I don't remember, but at the end of the season, they basically came out and they were like, Ross is our guy. Like they gave him the full vote of confidence,
which I hated.
Which, we don't need to rehash that discussion. But you don't make a move like this. Go steal one of the best managers in baseball from your rivals. Pay him $8 million a year. Make him the highest paid manager in baseball by far, and then not go nuts in either free agency or even trades. Like, the guys got to remember, the Cubs have a stacked farm system. If they're trying to win now, maybe some big trades are coming down the pipeline. Juan Soto to the Cubs, please.
I've seen a couple of reports that as far as FanGraphs, and again, take this for what you will, but as far as FanGraphs statistics go, the Cubs have the most valuable farm system in all of Major League Baseball. I mean, we are freaking stacked right now. James Triantos just won Arizona Fall League Player of the Year. Not like Player of the Week, Arizona Fall League Player of the Year. And that's another Cubs prospect. I mean, our farm system is stacked right now. There's a lot of good happening for the Cubs this offseason. If you want the short, like Cliff Notes, 30-second soundbite version, this offseason is going to be very, very good for Cubs fans.
Yeah, and going back to Shohei real quick, I do find it funny how you see like big media markets or big media news outlets kind of report like, oh, the Cubs could be a sleeper team to go after Shohei. It's like,
no,
they're the third biggest media market in the entire United States for sports market. Like, what do you mean that they're a sleeper team? Like they're a top of the market team. Like,
they mean that because
they should always be the favorites.
And that was part of under Jed's like reign, we've acted like we're a small team market.
Right.
It's been frustrating because that's why they're saying it.
And that really gets back to what was so exciting about this move. It was a big market team acting like a big market team. Jed is just like, Screw it. He slams his giant checkbook on the table. That is not a metaphor for anything, but but he just slams his checkbook on the table and like, all right. We have arrived. The Cubs have arrived. Our time is now, and get out of the way because we are going to be aggressive. We are going to outspend. We are going to outperform, and we are going to bring a World Series back to Chicago. And God,
you just can't be the White Sox, man. You just can't be the White Sox, right? If you're the Cubs, you got to be like you got to be the Yankees. You got to be the Dodgers. You got to go out there and spend. So I think they have to go all in with this.
Point of comparison. I know this isn't like the same thing, but just a point of comparison between where the Cubs are at and where the Sox are at. Craig Counsell, like as Jordan said earlier, lifelong Milwaukee Brewers fan, grew up in Wisconsin, left Milwaukee to come to Chicago to join the Cubs because of everything they have going on. Jason Benetti, who Ty can tell you his opinion about him. Ty is the only person I've met that's not a huge fan of Jason Benetti. Aside from Jerry Reinsdorf, lifelong White Sox fan, gets the TV play-by-play job. Fans love him. He's like the one thing that makes White Sox broadcast watchable these days because obviously the baseball product isn't. And he leaves for Detroit. That is where these teams are at.
You're also leaving out the fact that the newly coined White Sox general manager, who I can't remember his name. I know he's
Chris Getz.
Chris Getz. Thank you. I knew it was Chris something. Chris Getz gets hired and says, I don't like our team.
I mean, is he wrong?
Who was
he wrong?
That is such a project. Like that's not a 1 or 2 season project. This is like the White Sox are back in rebuild mode, and I feel for our fellow Chicagoans. Most of my family on my mother's side are all White Sox fans. I feel for them. I do, because goodness gracious, like that is a rough team to watch.
It is nice. So rough. It is nice. Not using this as a metaphor for anything, like Nick said, but it is nice to be able to whip your giant checkbook out and set it on the table to White Sox fans.
Go ahead and clip that for TikTok.
Do we even have one? I mean,
we do. I don't think
we do. We just never use it. But
TikTok got weird. I tried editing some stuff a little while back, and it wasn't working, so I gave up on it. But anyway. I don't want to dig too. We're already 15 minutes. We have much more to say on this. That's
bring in Shohei, bring back Bellinger, and
spend a lot of money, sign some all-star talent, win a World Series.
Bring a lot of talent.
And like literally just yesterday, I don't know. I've been going to the store like every day for like water and stuff. I ran to this guy that was wearing a Cubs sweatshirt. I said, "Go Cubs." He was like, "Yeah," very oddly, and I was like, and then luckily, like instead of making it weirder, he was like, "Yeah, they made a big move with that guy," and I was like, "Craig Counsell, yes," but I said to him, and he agreed, and I think all of us agree. You make this move. If the Cubs, and this is the best way to wrap it up, if the Cubs fail to get one of these big stars, whether it's Bellinger back, I mean, I said one. That's my expectation, is one big star. But really, when you get him, when you get Counsell and you tell him whatever Jed had to tell him to sweeten the deal, like if you don't get like 2 stars from this free agency, 2, you failed. You failed. You uttered it like. I don't want to hear anything else like, well, they made moves here. No. This isn't like getting Hosmer and Mancini anymore. If you don't get 2 big stars, you failed. You failed. You failed this offseason. There's so much talent. And I know Shohei's coming off the Tommy John. He won't pitch next year. I don't care. Whether it's him, Yamamoto, Bellinger, I think Nola's on the market. I don't know who else is on the market.
Nola is on the market.
Yeah. Yes. Like, if you don't get 2 guys, you failed. You failed. That's how I see it personally. I don't know. Maybe that's too harsh.
Stroman, and not that Stroman was, he
right,
wasn't all-star in the
opted
first
out
half,
of his player contract. Yeah. So, like,
again, you got some money. Spend it. Spend it all.
Whip your checkbook on the table.
Whip it on the table. Whatever you got to do, man. Like Hoyer must have gotten permission from the Ricketts. Whatever he did, he must have gotten permission from the Ricketts because the Ricketts are being stingy. I don't know. Now's the time. You got to do it. Maybe this is like the same thing of getting Lester, and then the next year, fine, whatever. I don't care. Like, you got to get 1. Yeah. I would prefer 2.
Gotta get 2.
These big names.
All right. We've sucked the audience in with optimism. Do we pivot to the Bears now?
Yes.
At least they won.
at least we're not the Panthers. That's all I can really say about the game.
Okay, so the best way to sum this up, we're gonna talk about the Bears game for all of 30 seconds, and then we're going to talk about the implications for a few minutes.
You don't
The
want to
Bears played a
dissect
football
Tyson
game.
Bagent's play? You don't want to dissect Tyson Bagent?
No.
You look better than Bryce Young.
How about
He
Luke
did.
Getsy just calling screen after screen after screen after screen after screen?
So anyway, the Bears played a football game against the Panthers on Thursday. They won. The Panthers now hold the number 1 overall pick. The Bears hold the number 5 overall pick. Tyson Bagent did Tyson Bagent things, and that's it.
Jason Kelce was there for like the entire second quarter, and Al Michaels talked to him instead of calling the game.
Which should tell you all
fair.
you need to know about this game. This was literally
checked out for like 5 years now.
Oh yeah, no, he's just raking in that Bezos money.
Oh,
taking,
But yeah, it really the main. We don't need to discuss. Okay, so Justin Fields is coming back next week. Reports are. Which, if we want to, do we want to even talk about the press conference with Matt Eberflus saying, "Oh, he's out, but he's doubtful, but there's a 51% chance he won't play"? Or did I say enough that this coach is a freaking idiot and he needs to leave? Anyway, really, Justin Fields is coming back next week. He's going to have a 7-week audition, basically as trade bait, because if the Bears hold the number 1 overall pick and don't take one of Caleb Williams or Drake May at this point, who I did see a highlight from Drake May that was incredible, where he was getting tackled and just chucked the ball into the end zone. Beautiful play. Honestly, I think I'd be more open to Drake May than Caleb Williams at this point. I digress. If the Bears don't take a quarterback with this number 1 overall pick from Carolina and then somehow find a way to get Marvin Harrison Jr. next year, I think we should riot. But that's really what these games coming up are for, is Justin Fields proving that he can be trade bait and then getting set up for a new quarterback and a new coach, I think. Any of you disagree with me, or is that
basically it? I mean, like, look at their schedule coming up. They got Detroit twice, so that's going to be 2 tough games. Obviously, their defense can get after the quarterback a little bit. You got the Browns, their defense is historically good this year. So that's going to be probably a rough one for Justin Fields in this offense. You got the Cardinals, which are the Cardinals. That'll actually be a really important game
with Kyler Murray back.
With Kyler Murray back, that's going to be an important game for draft standings. So in terms of a tank bowl, that's going to be like a ultimate tank bowl watch, I think. And we're going to have a lot to talk about when they play the Cardinals. They got the Vikings again, which the Vikings somehow just keep on winning games with Josh Dobbs. It's the most
astronaut, baby.
It's the most incredible thing ever. And then obviously the end of the season against Green Bay, which I don't know. Do they even want to win that game? Because they could, secure themselves a higher draft pick and screw the Packers out of getting a higher draft pick as well and force them to stay with Jordan Love. So
I had the most horrific thought a couple weeks ago. I don't know if I said this on the podcast or with you guys like off air, but I had this horrible thought that the Bears would do the most Bears thing and beat the Packers week 18. And then the McCaskies are like, "Oh, well, we can't fire a coach that just beat the Packers in Lambeau." So then we get stuck with Eberfluser for another year.
Well,
because I've seen reports on Twitter that I don't even remember where this was or how credible this is, but I saw something come across my Twitter feed that said Ryan Poles will hire his Matt Nagy this offseason, which I don't want to go into detail on what that actually means, because if it means we get the same as what we got with Matt Nagy, I don't think I want any part of it. I'm hoping it means that he's going to go out and find an offensive-minded head coach that can actually coach a quarterback into being a quarterback instead of wasting a generational talent for 4 years.
Best I can do is, Mitch Trubisky.
God, how funny would it be if we did wind up drafting Drake May, though? Another number 10 from North Carolina. I mean,
that'd be great.
He'd be the right number
full
10
circle,
because Drake May is a freaking baller. But it's man, the Bears, man. Yeah, it's funny. All I'll say is, depending on who you talk to, there's definitely some conflicting information out there as to the status of Eberflus and his coaching staff. I've heard from some people that it's more than likely than not that the entire building is not like Ryan Poles, Eberflus, everyone's just going to be gone at the end of the year. I've also heard that like there's a lot of support for Eberflus in the building, and that it's that they're basically going to be looking for any excuse to bring him back over the last 7 games of the season. So who knows? I mean, we're going to have to see how it plays out. I hope that they lose every game in embarrassing fashion, and Eberflus is out of here, so you leave no doubt. But I mean,
I just don't understand how regardless of the play on the football field, which has been
bad
for the most part, atrocious throughout the course of this year. Okay, first of all, you get the press conference with Justin Fields that I already mentioned. How can you look at that man and think, yes, that's my head coach? That is exactly who I want getting in front of a podium multiple times a week. And then you have him going on the air for a halftime report and saying, oh, yeah, we got some tricks up our sleeve. And you come out and you go 3 and out. What was your trick? Giving the ball back to the other team?
That was silly.
We got some tricks up our sleeve. The funniest part is nobody believed him.
I know.
Well, I just love that literally the first play, halfback dive.
I know.
Oh, yeah, that's a real original trick that the Bears have been doing for the last 75 years.
Before I forget, let's not forget the highlight of the whole game was Eddie Pinheiro, former Bears kicker, just like trying to kick a 59-yarder in Soldier Field in November, and just literally looking at silent, being like, "What do you want? Like I wasn't gonna make that kick. Like I knew I wasn't gonna make that kick, and you sent me out there anyways." Cool. And that was really the difference.
Was that or former Bears tank commander Amir Smith-Marset with the revenge game, the punt return touchdown?
Yeah. I don't even remember that guy. Like, honest to God,
in this game.
when I saw Andrew's tweet about revenge season, I was like, "Who is this dude?" I don't even remember that guy.
He was the dude that dropped the pass.
Doesn't matter.
He fumbled the ball in the Vikings game last year when they were
fumbled
driving.
Against the Vikings last year on their 2-minute drive.
And then he got cut immediately, and then I think he went to the Chiefs.
Cool.
Like that.
Honestly, great. I don't remember the dude. So like, I don't know. I don't still, regardless of Ryan Poles' job security, whatever you think about that, there's just zero chance that Eberflus stays, man. Whether you ride it again with Poles,
it's the Bears. I don't know. It's the Bears. They always mess this up.
How do you not look at Ben Johnson and go, I want that guy to be my head coach?
Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick.
Maybe Kellen Moore. I know Kellen Moore just got to the Chargers, but like it's a promotion from OC to head coach. And for those who don't know, the league can't stop interviews for a job that's like a step above. So it's like if you're an offensive coordinator and the team's like, we don't want to lose you, they can't stop you from interviewing for head coach position. So Kellen Moore, Ben Johnson, those are my 2 names already. I mean, look, the Chargers just scored 38 against the Lions, which I mean, I know the Lions, their defense can be up and down too, but like, I don't know, man.
There are about 25 to 30 other coaches I would take.
Honestly,
that's an exaggeration. But like,
get Coach Prime to Chicago.
Okay, see the problem is he said he's never going to coach in the NFL.
I'd do it.
No, he was like, did you see that thing where he was like, I let my guys fight at practice. I'm like, that's terrible. Like, what do you mean you let your guys fight? Just hurt each other? I don't know. I am very anti whatever. I don't.
To bring this conversation back to Eberflus, let's not
Coach
forget.
Harbaugh.
Oh God! Don't even get me started on Harbaugh.
Only if Connor Stallions comes with.
But to bring this back, to bring this back to Eberflus, you can never forget that the only reason that Eberflus is hired here in the first place is because Bill Polian was in charge of the search team, and Bill Polian, his 3 candidates were his old buddy Dan Quinn, his old buddy from Indianapolis Jim Caldwell, and Matt Eberflus, who had just previously worked for the Colts, who Bill Polian had ties to. So the only reason Eberflus is the coach here is because Bill Polian came from the Colts. Was like, oh yeah, I've heard good things about this guy. Bring him in. I know him. He's pretty good. Eberflus sold this stupid ownership group on a high school acronym, stupid hits philosophy, which would be called shits philosophy because his defense sucks. His defense was supposed to be the strong suit, and they're a bottom 10 unit when they spent a ton of resources on this defense. Like, I forget who posted the chart out there on Twitter the other day, but like the Bears are like in the top like 5, I think, in like resources spent on defense, and they're still like one of the worst defenses out there, and it's like, could things turn around with Montez Sweat in the building? I don't know. Probably not with some of the offense they have
with this coaching staff.
No, it's just
He's
like
got talent, but if you're not using the talent to its maximum potential, what's the point?
Like you got 4 second-round picks spent on this defense. You have all this free agency money. You have a bunch of trades, or you have the Montez Sweat trade. Like, at one point are you going to see? And don't give me like, oh, the Panthers game could be like, them starting to turn things around. No, the Panthers they're just a terrible football team.
They're the worst. They are literally the worst team in the NFL.
Right, they're the worst team in the NFL. And Bryce Young,
you only beat them by 3 points.
Yeah, and Bryce Young looks like a middle schooler out there playing against the pros right now. Like, dude's he's freaking 2 feet tall out there. I'm taller than Bryce Young.
You would
I go off on a tangent.
I'm like 5 inches or so taller than Bryce Young. It's ridiculous.
Can I go off on a tangent real quick?
No.
I'm going to do
this as a podcast.
So, do you guys remember like beginning of the season when we were talking about how Lovie Smith screwed over the Texans by making them get the 2nd overall pick and gave the 1st overall pick to the Bears?
No. I mean, yes. But I meant no in the sense that he didn't screw them over because they got CJ Stroud.
Because they got CJ Stroud instead of Bryce Young. I had this realization this like past week or two because I wound up picking up CJ Stroud for my fantasy team when he had his 450-yard game, and he's actually looking like an NFL quarterback. And the Panthers they took the wrong guy. It's so funny. So by winning that game at week 17 or week 18 last year, he actually wound up helping the Texans by making sure that they couldn't have the number 1 overall pick and were stuck with the 2nd best quarterback choice and wound up not taking Bryce Young. I just think it's hilarious, but I digress.
Lovie Smith. Absolute legend.
Bear for life.
Bear for life and Texan for life, apparently.
Yeah. Okay, do we have anything else negative to say about the – because, I mean, you cannot take away a positive from beating the worst team in the league by 3 points at home.
I mean, I guess you could say that like Montez Sweat he had a pretty good game against the Panthers, but like, and like, look, like Taylor Moton is a good right tackle on the Panthers, so I think you can't take anything away from him there from that aspect. I will say this though, to anyone who's like hyping up Montez Sweat's like pressure numbers from Thursday night's game where he had like 7 or 8 pressures, like half of them he was not blocked. So like the Panthers just had really awful offensive line schemes to start this game. So you literally see like Montez Sweat, like there's a highlight where he just comes in and just like destroys Bryce Young on a passing play. Like no one's like touching him within like 5 yards. There's like no offensive lineman near the guy. So I don't know what the Panthers were doing from a protection scheme standpoint. Like 2 of them came on like rollouts where they're going his direction. Like, I don't know. I'm a big fan of pressure numbers and all that stuff and using that stuff, but you got to look at it in context there. Sweat's been solid, but he's not a huge difference maker, in my opinion, for everyone who's trying to hype him up. Like, looking ahead the next week, they're playing Detroit. They're probably going to get their asses kicked.
Oh. Is it in Detroit?
Oh, for sure.
I think it is, yeah.
Yes, we are at Detroit.
Does it matter?
On the 19th.
Got it.
So we're about to get curb stomped.
What do you think? What do you think the line's going to be? I'll pull it up right now.
I think it's a negative 9.5. I think right now.
What is it?
I think it's 9.5 right now. I could
9.5. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'll say 17.5.
I think that's more accurate. I could definitely see this being like a 35.
You got to keep in mind it was 12.5 when the Bears went to Arrowhead. They never make the lines that big for NFL
I'm aware.
games.
I'm aware. That's what
I legitimately think this could be a 35-21 loss. Like it's not going to be pretty.
We're going to score 21.
It is very likely to be a lot to a little in favor of the Lions.
In terms of draft pick standings, the Bears currently have the number 1 and number 5 overall pick in next year's draft if the season were to end today. So, that number 1 with the Panthers got to hold. You got to hold steady there, Panthers. Continue to lose. Continue to suck. I know you can do it.
I don't think we have to worry about that.
I don't think you have to worry about them. But some of the teams ahead of the Bears right now, you got the Giants, who I don't even know. I'm sorry, Nick, because your boy Tommy DeVito is the quarterback.
Touchdown Tommy.
Touchdown Tommy
that didn't score any touchdowns today.
He did score 1 touchdown.
He can be touchdown Tommy.
I mean, for the other plays, he barely struggles to complete any passes. But, if he's their quarterback for a while, I don't even know if they win a game. The Giants are awful. Arizona, they're at number 3 right now. I think they'll probably win some more games with Kyler Murray in the lineup. So you got to hope that Kyler Murray can kind of – he actually had to come from high win today. So
I'm surprised they even let him come back, honestly.
I was surprised too, but
at this point, you might as well just let him rest up, heal up, and tank.
Yeah.
I mean –
and then New England, gosh, the Patriots are just a dumpster fire right now as well, which is really surprising given it's Bill Belichick. But yeah, they're just awful on offense. So yeah, they gotta get some losses here going forward.
Well, like we said, the Bears are playing the Lions next week. Probably going to be just a straight embarrassment. Do we want to keep on the negativity train, or do we want to switch back to positive for a few minutes here?
Now let's go negative and then
go negative.
Okay, so the Bulls.
Yikes.
Yeah, things are so bad right now that other teams' reports are coming out. A lot of teams are sending scouting to Bulls games to just keep an eye out in case we decide to blow it up, which we should have done in the off season, but we didn't.
We should have done it 2 years ago.
It's God. Yeah, it's a dumpster fire. But
they should have never built this core in the first place.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for another
the organization.
Conversation for Jerry. Jerry ain't listening.
It's in-season tournament right now. But anyway.
It's the in-season tournament, Jerry.
Games and performances, feel free.
Yeah, what's there even to say? I mean, they had, I guess you could call it an impressive win against Utah the other night. I mean, Utah, they're a fun team, but they're not really a good team right now. So, Lauri Markkanen had a big game against them, which it sucks that Lauri Markkanen looks like a straight up stud now that he's no longer on the Bulls. And it's like, it goes back to do they know how to properly develop players right now? And that's evident when you look at Patrick Williams, and that's an obvious no, because Patrick Williams has not developed the lick since he's gotten to the NBA for the Bulls. Like, he's just, if anything, he's gotten worse as a player as his 4 years have kind of gone on here. And
he did when I played that NBA 2K21 or 22 and won the finals. And he developed real nice. I'm just saying. Actually, I think I traded him.
He has looked better coming off the bench, but I mean, that's still not what you want with when was he drafted? Like 7th?
Number 4 overall pick, yeah.
Number 4? Oh
yep.
My God. Okay.
And they passed on guys like Tyrese Halliburton, Scotty Barnes, I think, in that draft was as well, like 2 stud players.
Yeah, I was looking up the Markkanen trade. Is that what we're talking about right now?
Just Markkanen in general, just
Markkanen and
yeah. So when we traded him, we got Larry Nance Jr. and a protected 2023 second round pick.
No, that's the Cavs. That was what the Cavs got.
Bulls received Derek Jones Jr. Bulls received Derek Jones Jr. and the Trailblazers protected 2022 first round pick,
which continues to get protected in the future. They're not going to get that pick. So they basically just got a year or 2 of Derek Jones, who
I don't even know who that is.
He's an okay role player, good dunker, but I mean, not a difference maker, obviously. So yeah, that turned out to be a busted move. But I mean, the story with this team is just that, you look at this team against the Suns, they got down, 24-6. 24-6 in the first quarter. It's ridiculous slow start. They do fight back in that game once they bring Alex Caruso in off the bench, and Alex Caruso was awesome.
A stud
in that game. I think it was a plus 24 when he was on the court. Something like that.
Every Bulls starter in that game was a minus.
Yep.
In plus minus, and every bench player was in the plus, aside from Io, who was a -4. But that's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, he was locking up KD at different points in this game. He's hitting his threes.
How many first round picks are we trading Alex Caruso for?
Would it be hilarious if they got 2 first round picks for him after giving up 2 first round picks for Nikola Vucevic?
That'd be pretty great.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be pretty great.
It's also unrealistic.
Yeah, AK's just got to find.
I don't know. You know what, Alex Caruso, for what he is, he's one of the more valuable role players. And with the way the NBA teams view first round picks, if they're heavily protected first round picks, I could see it. there would have to be nothing else involved with the trade. Like in order to match salaries, it'd probably just be a junk contract going to the Bulls. But I could see a team like if they have some extra first round picks and like, hey, we need an extra guy that can go out there and guard 3 or 4 positions and hustle and give us a few plays on offense here and there. Why not? That has some value in today's NBA. I don't know. But like, I mean, the story for this team is obviously like they're mid 3 of Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, and DeMar DeRozan. I'm going to keep on calling them that because that's what they are.
I'm going to keep laughing at it because it's true.
3 mediocre star players that aren't star players anymore. Like they're just not. Like the fact of the matter is, like they've had 3 years to figure out how to play together, and they just can't. It's done.
They can't do it.
They can't do it. They don't work together, right? Like you look at their plus minuses when they're on the court. Like Zach LaVine, the Bulls are negative 8.5 points per 100 possessions. Like they're negative 8.5 points per 100 possessions worse than the other team when he's on the court compared to when he's off the court. Nikola Vucevic, they're 11.5 points worse when he's on the court compared to when he's off the court. DeMar DeRozan, they're 25 points worse when he's off the court, when he's on the court compared to when he's off the court. Like, it's just mind-numbing. Like, when these guys are not on the court, the Bulls are a dramatically better team. For reference, like Alex Caruso, when he's on the court, the Bulls are nearly 16 points better when he's on the court compared to when he's off the court. So I bring those up to say that, like, yeah, like Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic are putting up, I guess, decent numbers, this year, but they don't impact the game together as a cohesive group. They don't lead to winning basketball. And like LaVine's been brutal this year. Like you talk about that Suns game, he had like multiple just boneheaded decisions and just bad possessions down the stretch of that Suns game where they had a chance to win that game in regulation. And that's just kind of been the thing with Zach LaVine. It's like, it's just like, he's an awesome, awesome talent. And for the first 3.5 quarters of a game, he'll have some of these games where he's just firing on all cylinders and it's awesome to watch. But you get him in the fourth quarter of any close game and it's like the dude just freezes and he just doesn't know. He just forgets how to play basketball.
He's a second option that they are asking to be the guy, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a third. I mean, he's a third. Well, he's a second offensive option, like third best player. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think things are getting better anytime. I mean, they literally just need to blow this up. I don't know how you do it, what the best way is. But
trade everybody, embrace the suck, and then hope the league rigs the lottery for you, like the Blackhawks did.
Are we pivoting? No, wait. We need to do Andrew's one positive thing.
Yes, Andrew. You've been very negative. A negative.
What is the one positive thing?
But you do have a positive thing, according to our group chat.
I mean, it is Alex Caruso. I mean, it has to be, right?
Okay, but we already talked about Alex Caruso. Can you give us one more?
You're breaking my balls, man.
Breaking my balls, Kyle.
Can a teacher say that?
You know what? I wasn't really prepared for a positive outside of Caruso.
We talked about this already. We talked about
Andrew,
this. Do I need to say it? I can say it.
They won a game this week.
Yes.
And they played competitively against a Suns team that has been mediocre as well, despite all
they
the
had
Somebody
a really
got their
good
10,000th career rebound, right?
Andre Drummond.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He had his 10,000th career
There we go. We got it.
Jeanette McCurdy's ex-boyfriend, Andre Drummond.
Oh my God, I forgot
Yeah,
about
so those
that.
who missed it, Andre Drummond got his 10,000th career rebound, which great accomplishment in an era of basketball. Rebounding has never been less important. So good for Andre Drummond.
That was okay. That was a backhanded positive thing.
Hey, Andre Drummond's had a very successful career. So I'll give him that.
And he dated Jeanette McCurdy, so that bada bing bada boom.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got one more team to cover.
Yes. This is not going to be.
There is actually some positivity here. Ladies and gentlemen, Connor Bedard has arrived. We've played 2 games this week, and he's had 2 goals in each of them. So the Blackhawks, things are going better for the Blackhawks.
Things are going better. They did lose today, a very close game to Florida. They lost 4-3, but a couple nights ago, I don't remember exactly. Was it Thursday? Yeah, yes, it was Thursday.
Because I wound up having to work, and I was upset that I missed the game.
Yeah, and it was Thursday. And that game against Tampa, they scored, I think it was 3 goals in the first period. Bedard had a goal. He had 2 assists. He ended a 4-point night, and I watched a great first period of exciting hockey. And then I was like, oh, I have to watch the stupid Bears now. But we're not talking about them anymore. We're talking about the Blackhawks, who
stay positive, stay happy.
Like Jordan said, Connor Bedard has arrived. He's got 9 goals on the season, 13 points, leads all rookies in goals and points. And like you watch him out there, he's playing with confidence. He's playing with swagger. He's getting the superstar treatment everywhere he goes. It's very impressive.
It's really good to see. And I mean, if you want to, I forget, we should really go back and clip our goal predictions for Connor Bedard, but the Blackhawks have played 13 games and he has 9 goals.
He's on pace for 56 goals.
Yeah.
Which I think that's, I don't know. I think I said 40. I don't remember. I know Tig said 82. He might be closer to Tig's guess than.
The dream's still alive. The dream's still alive.
But I mean, that'd be far and away a rookie record. I mean, he's finally coming into his own. He's getting comfortable. The goals he's scoring are filthy.
They're beautiful.
I mean, it's not just your run of the middle, like, oh, top shelf. No, I mean, like, he's getting crazy with it. The pass I did see the highlight of the pass he had on one of his assists. That was just like no look, backhand.
No look, backhand, like tip of the stick just behind the
filthy.
Back.
Absolutely.
Sprung Foligno into the zone for a 2-on-1, passed it off, and then it's in the back of the net. Like,
well, my favorite highlight of his came against the Panthers, where he just stole the puck from, I forget who it was on the Panthers, but he stole the puck from him. He basically put his stick on the table, no metaphor implied there. Ripped the puck away from him and then put it in the back of the net. I mean, I don't know
what game you're watching. There isn't any tables on an NHL rink.
Well, if there was, put his stick on the ice on that table.
He put his stick on the other player's stick and got the puck away from him and put it in the back of the net.
Sounds worse.
Do we have a new inside joke? Is this turning into a thing?
Hey man,
probably.
That's
okay.
And that's okay.
But like that's just like
just let it happen.
That's just one of those plays where it's Connor Bedard saying, "I'm better than you. I'm making a play, and you can't stop me."
No,
and that's exactly what you want to see.
The same thing happened today in the Florida game. I believe the first period ended tied 2-2, but shots and offensive chances were way in Florida's favor. And it was just that the Hawks were able to capitalize on Florida's mistakes because, like, again, this isn't a team it doesn't have a lot of talent in the top 6. And, you know, it's a little depleted now. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, you know, it's like, but it's a quick strike offense. Like, if they have chances, there's a very good shot that it's going in. So, like, this is a team, like, all it takes is, you know, one shot to get in the back of the net. So, you know, it's like, it's good.
How many times are you going to say this is a team? You're reminding me of Chris Collins.
No, here's a
guy.
When you look at him.
I just ruined Nick's entire night.
I agree.
I'm never coming on this podcast again. You ruined me.
Take it from the guy that doesn't watch hockey too much. Like, I don't know. It's like literally I put in our notes for the episode today because I was able to watch today's game. Is like either Connor Bedard wins the game or he doesn't. is what this team is going to turn into, especially with injuries going to guys. Yeah. It was, you know, Nick was texting our group chat how he loved it that the guy. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with player names, especially
Foligno. I would die for Nick Foligno.
Right, because he defended Bedard, or like everybody's defending Bedard because Bedard got hit, but that also led to a Florida power play because they're hitting the guy that hit Bedard, and then Florida scored on the power play, and that was the difference. So it's like, it's a mix of like, I love it. I love that energy, you know, protecting your guy.
Also, I think there was enough plausible deniability there that guy could have had the puck that shouldn't have been interference.
Right, exactly. But regardless, like, it's one of a mix of like, I love that you're defending your guy, but also like, hey man, like literally like that lost the game. And now you can say like, well, the Florida would have scored anyways. Maybe, I don't know, but it was Nobody scored after that power play goal. So like, you gotta keep your emotions in check. Like, yeah, protect Connor, protect him, protect this kid, protect the 18-year-old future.
Please.
But also, like, don't especially later on when games, because who cares if we win or lose this year? We're gonna lose. But like next year or the year following, it's like, don't lose a game because you wanted to protect your guy. I love it. I want to protect the guy, but like, you also can't lose the game because you get PO'd.
So here's the thing: is I'm calling it now. You can clip this.
You're the one that edits these videos. You're gonna have to clip it yourself.
You're going to clip yourself.
Okay, fair point. However, I'm willing to bet that with the cap space, with the draft picks, and with the talent that this roster has shown this year, I'm not saying we're going to make a run, but I think we make the playoffs next year. And I think in order to do that, you do have to have that energy of, that's just how hockey is. You're going to hit my superstar, fine. You're
balance,
getting shoved into the boards.
Sure.
I don't care where or when or how. You're paying for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm not, again, because I don't watch a lot of hockey, and I don't want to be the guy that's stepping in, but like, and I do understand that, because even in my head, like, I don't have to play hockey. I've played a bunch of other sports where like one of my buddies gets hit and I'm hitting back. Even in flag football, like I've played this year and last year, and I've hit a couple people just out of retaliation, which I shouldn't.
Hello, 911.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like when you want to make that playoff run, every game does count. And man, losing a game because your guy is hitting,
I think it's worth it in this case. Well, first of all, the Hawks, you got to find a way to get a goal at some point. But I think it's worth it this year just to let these players know and let the league know, hey, he's our guy. Don't fuck with our guy. And that's all.
Well, there goes our unscripted F word, but yeah.
No, yeah. We get one. This is PG-13 show.
Nick, you're 100% right. I mean, how many times after their first couple of seasons did Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves get lit up on the ice? I can't think of any, really.
No. Yeah.
Because you establish very early on that these are our guys and you do not mess with them. And if you do mess with them, we're going to hit you back twice as hard. And if there's ever a year to do it, it's this year. And I think we've got, again, our defense is really, and not that the defense has been terrible, because it hasn't. It's definitely outperformed expectations.
On the defense, I have to mention this. Kevin Korchinski in the win against Tampa, he had his first career NHL goal. 19-year-old on Mom's night, on the mom's road trip that the Hawks do in front of his mom. So good moment for
Zach Wilson type of thing, or just
no.
Okay, all right.
No, in front of actually his mom, Tig.
Not somebody else's mom, his mom.
Well,
all right, man.
Technically, yes, in front of somebody else's mom.
Whoa, take it easy, man.
Teammates on. But, yeah.
But no, I think there's going to be some defensive help coming next year via either the draft or free agency.
Well, probably not the draft, because the draft, those draft prospects, unless you're picking number 1 overall, they're not gonna. They're not going to come straight to the NHL.
But we still have a bunch of cap space, and they're going to address it.
And this defensive core is still young. They're also improving. Vlasic's been great. Korchinski's been great. Kaiser, I think, has had his struggles, but overall, I think he can be solid.
And you still got another 50 years of Seth Jones. So
basically, he played 31 minutes of ice time in the Tampa win. He was on the ice for 31. Well, part of that was because Tenorti, one of the defensemen, got injured. They actually put him on IR with an oblique injury, which actually I want to segue into this. In that game, they also lost Taylor Hall again and Andreas Athanasiou. So a couple guys that kind of regularly slot in the top 6. I'm going to segue that into the next point, is where I think I had and Tig had Lucas Reichel leading the team in points. If you're not named Connor Bedard, that's not going well right now.
That's because I picked a name. All right, I don't want to be affiliated with this. Incredible, you're not affiliated with me.
But look, he's gotten 2 assists all season in 13 games. It's not great, and it isn't even just that. Like he's just like not a factor out there. He's not really getting shots on goal. He's not really dangerous in the offensive zone. I think this move to center has like really messed with his confidence. It's very concerning. And with all the injuries to, the top six with Hall and Anthony Ciu, guys that, he could play with, I think I'm ready for the nuclear option. That's probably to get the podcast flag that I said nuclear, but whatever.
Marcel?
No.
I'm kidding.
No, Connor Bedard. Give us Kurashev, Bedard, and Reichel. Yeah, just at least get Reichel a goal, and get. I think once he sees one puck go in the back of the net, that's going to help his confidence a lot, and he'll be playing with a bit more confidence. Because when you're struggling for this long, and because if the Hawks did not get Connor Bedard, this would be Lucas Reichel's team, and if he were struggling the way he has been struggling without Connor Bedard, imagine the pressure on this kid. So on one hand, it's really nice that Bedard is here for him because that's kind of going under the radar, but it's still, still concerning.
Well, do we have anything else we want to add here on the Blackhawks, or are we pretty good? Got it covered. All right.
Yeah.
So looking ahead to next week, got a game home against the Lightning on Thursday, away at Nashville on Saturday, and home against Buffalo on Sunday. So Nashville and Buffalo haven't been great, if I remember correctly, lately, but Tampa's going to be, I know we just beat them, but Tampa's going to be a tough game.
At least we're not at least it's not like Vegas, Boston, Colorado, Vegas again, Colorado again, Boston again, Tampa. Yeah. Everyone else. So the schedule's lightening up slightly, which is good.
Yeah. Well, for those of you that have been paying attention, and Nick, I know you put in the notes that I didn't have to mention it, but I'm going to mention it. We're gonna shift away from the 180s for a little bit. It's a little tough to come up with something you'd think it'd be easy to come up with something random to talk about every week, but it's a lot harder than it looks.
No, it's really easy to come up with something random. It's a lot harder to make it funny and entertaining, and that's what we're struggling with.
Yes. So from now on, we're going to save a few minutes at the end of every episode in case somebody does have something to bring up, but we're not going to make it a mandatory part of every episode. So with that being said, does anybody have anything random and funny that they want to talk about?
Illini football is back, baby. John Paddock, Illini legend, coming in for an injured Luke Altmaier, throwing for 507 yards and throwing I think he threw 4 touchdowns, overtime winner against Indiana. Bowl game, let's go. ILL.
Aren't you guys 4-5?
Yeah, no, we are 5 and 5.
Oh, okay, all right, go.
The 6 wins gets us to a bowl game.
I know Notre Dame's 7-3, even with Sam Hartman, so I can't talk. I got 2 things. One, I made a blog about ranking all the music I've listened to this year. You should check it out. I did miss a couple albums, but I don't care. But you should check it out. It's fun. I'm funny. Also, I'm playing this game called Signalis. It's this German combination of Resident Evil and Blade Runner. I haven't seen my wife in days. Somebody please send help. I know I've been talking a lot about video games I've been playing, but there's been some good ones out there. So
all I got is that apparently the Atlanta Hawks and the NBA have an OnlyFans account now based off of their Twitter. Yeah, they posted a video where
they're players, or is it cheerleaders?
No. So what they did is they made a Twitter post with a video. It was like an advertisement for the in-season tournament, which the in-season tournament gets worse and worse every single time we talk about it on here. But I guess they're partnering with OnlyFans to make this. Check it out, guys. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
No, I don't think I will.
There was a push a while back to have OnlyFans not be for what everybody thinks OnlyFans is for. So
that was the original purpose of OnlyFans.
And the Hawks leaned into that in their advertisement for the in-season tournament. I mean, it was something. That's all.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, OnlyFans is supposed to be for artists that were sharing their music and paintings and stuff like that, and to get paid from it. It was not supposed to be what it is.
Now it's for a different type of artist.
Yeah, exactly. and that's why. So then they were gonna go back from that. That's why they were like, "Hey, you can't do any NSFW stuff on there anymore because we want to actually bring back the artists." And then they're like, "Oh, this hurts our paycheck.
Yeah.
Never mind. bring out the NSFW stuff. So that's why.
It's like they roll this out and they're like, wait, this tanks our stock price if we do this?
Like massively. No.
Yeah.
And once again, the almighty dollar wins.
Always.
Yay, capitalism.
Here comes the money.
Yep. And for the record, I am not a socialist. That was not actually I just want to make that clear.
Don't get political, Jordan. Just
I'm not getting political. I'm just saying I'm not a socialist. That's not what I was going for. Don't want to offend anybody, but.
And on that note,
well, you offended
you can be. It doesn't matter. You can be.
You offended socialists by implying that being a socialist would be offensive.
Exactly.
Well, for the third week in a row, I'm going to end the episode by saying, before we get ourselves into any more trouble, I think that's our new tagline. Forget about we'll be back ranting and raving. It's before we get into more trouble. So before we get into any more trouble, we're going to wrap it up here. Once again, I'm your host, Jordan DuPont, joined by Andrew Freeman, Nick Nicola, and Tig Mullen. You can check out the show on Twitter at 4starpodchi. Check out Tig's blog post on our website, 4starpodchi.com. You can find Nick on Twitter at Nicola21, Tig at TMMullen007, and Andrew at AJFreeman25. You can also find his other work for the Bear Report at 247sports.com, where he does his tracking the trenches. If you are even still watching Bears football, he'll give you the line report and grade. I guess it's a report card. I could have just said that, but whatever. It's fine. You can also check out his other work on the Picks for Polls podcast. If you enjoyed this, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Help us grow our channel, reach more people, eyes and ears, get the word out, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much again for watching. We'll be back ranting and raving next week. Have a good one.